Welcome to the Jaguar Podcast, a show where we discuss all things related to Duval County's finest NFL football team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Move 42, set, fight!
Duval, baby!
Yes, here we go. Hello, welcome in, Andrew. How are you doing today of the forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Roar Report?
It's the Jaguar Podcast. It's okay, though. A lot of people, it's a little confusing. It's like a play on words, but...
No, I love it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, before we get started, could you just tell our viewers, whether they're watching with us live now or on the replay, what do you do on your channel? How'd you get connected to the Jaguars? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up as a Navy brat, moving around the East Coast. So I grew up, in Jacksonville, moved around a little bit, but I was there, huge, Jaguars fan. And then, moved to South Carolina in 95 when the team was essentially started. And that was also when the Atlanta Braves won their World Series against the Indians. Go Braves. And we won a World Series this year as well. So it's been awesome. But, became essentially a Jaguars fan when the team was, incepted. And just been following ever since. And stood up this podcast and YouTube channel about 2 years ago, doing game previews, game recaps, live streams, live reactions, and I just love it, man. I love football. I played football myself in high school, and it's just been great. So if you want to follow my content, I'm on, Apple Podcasts, every podcast platform pretty much out there. And I'm also on this new site I'm partnering with right now called flteams.com. They have great, Florida sports articles, so you could check out my content there as well.
That's really cool. It sounds like this podcast is opening up some pretty cool doors for you.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I just like to talk football, talk Jags, and maybe doing some Braves content as well.
Okay, very cool. Well, I will give a couple of shout outs here. I see we got Old Man Ghost, aka Bruce, in the house, actually catching us live. Good to see you. And we got Roberto Hastings, and he's a Niners fan. He's happy. And then the Vermilia Sports Report. He's at Disneyland. Wow, have a fantastic time. Yeah, awesome. Just want to give a couple shout outs there. But you know what? Let's get into this here. I sent you a couple questions ahead of time, and we'll maybe break those down. But if any other questions coming in the chat, we'll maybe address them as they come. But can we just start off by saying I feel like coming into this season, there was some hype around the Jags. You hire Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence is there. You get some, free agent, wide receivers and pieces in there. Can you maybe talk about, what were your expectations for the Jags coming into the season? Have those expectations been met? What's the Jags fandom kind of feeling through and going through right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think my expectations were fairly low, just considering that Urban Meyer, he's new to the pro. He's inheriting a 1-15, football team, and he has to draft a rookie quarterback, essentially rebuild the team, bring in a new staff. That's a really hard thing to do. So my expectations honestly were low. I think, not to go off on a tangent about Urban Meyer, but I was against the hire.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of bringing him in just because of his past with, drama and just toxic locker rooms and all the stuff with Zach Smith.
Has he had any of that this year?
Yeah, there's been a lot. I mean, it's not just one thing. It's like a laundry list full of stuff with Urban Meyer. I've been disappointed in that sense, just with the drama and the attention that Urban Meyer has attracted to himself. Because, the number one rule is as an NFL coach, you don't want to be a distraction. So that's really one of my main issues with bringing him in.
So you'd be okay if he took a job at Notre Dame or something like that?
Oh, please. It'd be like the best Christmas gift ever.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, maybe let's chat about Trevor Lawrence a little bit. Obviously he had all the hype coming out of college in a pretty loaded QB draft class. He was the first one taken. Do you like what you've seen from him? I think he's 9 TDs to 10 interceptions. So
yeah, I think you're right on that. I don't know the INTs off the top of my head, but I think that sounds around the ballpark. But regardless, I think I've been very impressed with him. He's been very mature, coming into the league. Not a lot of drama, and I feel like he's getting better every week. I mean, the past 2 games he's struggled a little bit, but I'm not super worried. I think he's learning his reads. He's learning his progressions. He's able to run too, but he's learning how to slide so he doesn't get hurt. So there's a lot of great things about Trevor Lawrence. I'm not super worried. There's been a lot of Jags fans, and they like to jump out early on quarterbacks. They did this with Gardner Minshew too, not comparing the two, from a talent perspective. But I think, Jags fans they get real worked up because they're, we've lost for a while. So we become impatient. So, but I'm not worried about him at all.
Yeah. And hey, I can very much relate to, the Rams were bad for a very long time. And I'm very thankful to have a team that, though we're currently in a funk, we are definitely in a funk, a 3-game losing streak. It is nice to have a team that has expectations and that you believe they can meet those expectations. So I definitely empathize with Jags fans there for sure. So let's chat a little bit about that after I give a quick shout out to Willie Bowen. Good to see you, my friend. And we got Toon Link Maine also in the house. Good to see you guys. And make sure you go and subscribe to the Jaguars podcast. All the links to his channel and socials are in the description below. But let's chat a little bit about this game coming into it. What do you hope to see from the Jags, and what do you think they have to do to win this game?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they just look better. I mean, I really hope the offense looks better. They looked a little disjointed last week. Laviska Shenault, one of our wide receivers, and Trevor Lawrence, they just didn't look like they were connecting or they were on the same page at all. So the passing game's got to get better. And from, an offensive perspective, just more consistent with the play calling. If something's working running-wise, let's go for it. Let's stick to that. Let's give James Robinson the ball. One of our a top running back in the league, had a 1,000-yard season last year as an undrafted free agent. So that's been a little frustrating to see Urban kind of hesitating between Carlos Hyde, our other backup running back. Seems like he doesn't know, which player to go with, and that's a frustrating thing given that you had, an undrafted free agent that had 1,000+ yards rushing, just a great season. Go with James Robinson, and I think I want to see more of that in this game. Mix it up a little bit with the RPO, and then go play action, go deep. Let Trevor stretch that arm out because we really have nothing to lose at this point. So I'd like to see that definitely from an offensive perspective.
Awesome. And you know what? The Rams teams have been running it down our throat the past 3 weeks. So James Robinson probably is the Jaguars' best, weapon to win this game. I'm hoping that the Rams, I keep hearing the term, this is a get right game for the Rams, right? When you have a team that's 7-4, they've lost 3, they were 7-1 at one point, and you're going up against a 2-9 team.
Yeah.
You hear that term, get right game, or this is a game that's possibly a trap game. I've already heard some Ram fans say, like, if we lose this, I'm not watching the Rams the rest of the season. I'm done. And I think, like, you really have to come into it as one game at a time, right? And whether you're a no-win team or you haven't lost a game all season, that's the beauty of the NFL. There is that parity to it. you don't know who's going to beat who, right? And one of my favorite stories about the Jags this season was when they beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
And like, how can you maybe walk me through that experience a little bit? I think they called that the Josh Allen Bowl, when it's Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen intercepted Josh Allen. And did you see that win coming? And how was it like? Because you streamed that game on a watch party, right?
I didn't actually. It was like, it's so funny because the 2 wins that we've gotten this year all were when I didn't stream those games.
No.
Or did a lot. So it's like I have some sort of curse on the Jaguars or something. But don't take that seriously. But I was actually at a Bills bar, shockingly. With my wife and her friend, and we were watching this game, and literally we were the only Jaguars fans in that bar. They were doing all their chants and surrounded by Bills fans, and bless their hearts, they're awesome fans. They don't get out of hand or anything, but it was fun. But I just didn't see that win coming from a mile away. I mean, it was very shocking. And going into this game, I've had it in the back of my head, but I think you guys are hungry, man, and you got Jalen Ramsey who wants revenge against the Jaguars and how they treated him. So
this is the Jalen Ramsey revenge game.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't played the Jags since the trade.
Yeah, I think he's a player, a defensive weapon, and we need to look out for one of the key matchups that we'll probably get into. But I think he's a player that could give Trevor Lawrence some problems if he's not looking out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I obviously I knew that he had played for the Jags before, but I did not clue in. This is Jalen Ramsey's first time playing the Jaguars since the trade happened. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, and on that note, I would like to talk about special teams a little bit. The Rams have had a ton of struggles with this third phase of football in special teams, especially over the past 3 weeks. I know for the Jaguars, one of your best weapons, unfortunately, he's injured and gone for the season, is Jamal Agnew. I know that's a huge loss for you. I'm sure you were quite sad when he went out.
That was devastating.
Do you see the special teams as a strength for the Jags, even with Agnew out?
That's interesting. We just acquired, I believe his name is Jaden Mickens from Tampa Bay. So, he's a return Jag. He's actually a boomerang. He used to play for the Jaguars a few years ago, I believe. But do I think the Jaguars are going to be the same, when we had Jamal Agnew? I would say no. But, we did have some problems with special teams a few weeks ago. Tavon Austin, our punt returner rather, he fumbled against, I believe it was, I don't want to say it was the Falcons, but it was the week before that. He had a fumble. So it could be an area where, could be like a weak link area for us in this game. I know watching the highlights of the Packers game, you guys I believe you had a fumble, right? On another punt return or.
Yeah, 2 fumbles and 1 interception for that game. It was the Rams have struggled to have a decent punt and kick returner. Like sometimes they'll put Cooper Kupp back there, but he only ever fair catches it. And it's been really annoying because for many years special teams was a strength of the Rams. But ever since John Fossil left to be the special teams coordinator for the Cowboys, we have not been able to get it right, which is very frustrating. But we'll see going in this game. I think that that special teams unit, they're obviously a little makeshift, but I'm hoping that the Rams will be able to not have to rely on the special teams that much. But before we forget, because I don't want to forget this, shout out to Tavon Austin. He was drafted by the Rams. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that offhand, so that's a good call out.
Yeah, he was drafted number 8 overall for the Rams.
Yeah, now we get him. So now it's 2 players, right?
Tavon. He's hopped around a bunch. I know he's played the Rams before, But he's a player that obviously talented, never, just for whatever reason, could never really get used that much. The thing with Tavon when he was with the Rams, he would always like run back punts for a touchdown, but it always got called back.
Yeah,
Like
penalties.
Always. But there was one game of Tavon Austin's career, it was against the Colts, where he had like a kick return for a touchdown, a like 70-yard touchdown, like himself, and I think he had a rushing touchdown for over 50 yards. Like he himself had over 300 all-purpose yards in a game, and other than that one game, Tavon Austin didn't do anything with the Rams really.
It's crazy how like you can get like players they jump around like that, and it seems like that's how we kind of found Jamal Agnew. I mean, I don't even think he was a special teams player. We just put him there, and he was just killing it. I mean, he's just doing a great job. He ran back I think he had like a kick six, and I think it was like the Cardinals game or something where he ran it back. I mean, he's just been incredible.
Mm-hmm. No, he's I'm someone that I remember after he got that kick six, I picked him up in fantasy, and he was always someone that like every week I put him in there, and it's like, oh, okay, Jamal Agnew's doing well for me. That's cool. But anyway, so Tavon Austin sidetrack there, but I say that because I actually forgot he was still in the NFL until I saw on a highlight last week. I was watching Red Zone, and he caught a touchdown, and I was like, Tavon Austin's still in the NFL.
Yeah, he caught one last week against when we played the Falcons. It was a pretty crazy catch. It was like a high ball, but he managed to get up there and catch it and bring it down. So that was impressive.
Go Tavon. Tavon. I hope he doesn't get his revenge on the Rams. And if it's Ramsey and Tavon, I give the edge to Ramsey a little bit there. But
yeah, I would too.
Okay, well, sorry, we had sidetracked here because I just love talking football, but that's okay. Bring up my question list that I sent you. In this game, do you think that, like, obviously I know Vegas and all the stat lines are picking the Rams pretty heavily, but do you think that there is a certain way this game has to flow for the Jaguars to win? Like, do you think, if it turns into a shootout, do you trust Trevor Lawrence's arm to keep up? Or do you hope it stays kind of a more low-scoring affair?
I think, I hope it stays low-scoring. I do trust Trevor Lawrence and his arm. I mean, in that Miami game in London, I think he proved he can make the throws, make the long throws. We're kind of banged up as a team. We lost Dan Arnold last week, our tight end, so that's a huge loss. So I think it's going to have to be consistent pressure from Jacksonville on the Rams, like from sending blitz packages, sending pressure against Matt Stafford, and I think that's and just being consistent with our game plan offensively. I think we could make this a close game and stay competitive. But it's going to be, I think, the secondary. If we can lock down your wide receivers like Cooper Kupp, like Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson rather. That's going to be key. And if we can't do that, I mean, it's going to be a long day for us in that game.
Yeah, and I think from the Rams' point of view, we would really love to see us establish the run with Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel. That's something that we've at times, been able to do in glimpses in games, but not consistently over the past 3 games. And it's led to Matt Stafford making some poor decisions, and essentially we've spotted 14 points to our last 3 opponents, whether it through a pick six or through giving up a fumble or something at a bad field position. And so it's you can already see here. Shout out to JRP. He really doesn't want the Rams to win anymore. And Cringesaurus, shout out to you as well. Okay, let's not get that far, guys. Yeah, it's frustrating, right? And I think I'm hoping the Rams play a relatively mistake-free game, because I do think if we do that, we can beat any team. I really do. And I'm hoping that in this Jaguars game that the Rams can really come in, and I'm hoping it's a game that the Rams kind of control, that do force the Jaguars to take risks, and hopefully with those risks they make some mistakes against the Rams. So that's kind of the flow I'm hoping for. I don't know if I'm going to get it, because if the Rams get behind again and spot the Jags 14 points, and then Sean McVay gets into panic mode, and then for whatever reason just fails to adjust his game, and Raheem Morris. Okay, the Rams have had this annoying term all year, and it's the bend but don't break defense, and it has not been working for us recently, because we give up these massively long drives up the field where teams just sort of run it up the gut against us. And I'm hoping that we don't do that against the Jags here. But maybe that I'll admit I haven't watched a lot of Jaguars games this year, just kind of when I see them on Red Zone. I watched their game in England that they won. That was fun. That was really cool. But what has the Jaguars offense looked like with Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson?
Yeah, it's been like a lot of, I would say like a lot of, RPO, like, throwing to the sidelines. I feel like the offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevel, just needs to get more confident in his trust with Trevor Lawrence, because like you don't see a lot of deep balls from Trevor Lawrence. It's kind of these like, screen passes, like out routes, and just like throwing to the sidelines. And I feel like Trevor Lawrence has got the arm, and we're a 2-9 football team. Let's start taking some shots downfield. That would be nice, just to give him the confidence. He's thrown some picks, but every rookie's gonna throw picks. So I would really like to see Robinson get more carries in this game. Trevor Lawrence is kind of that quarterback that's versatile. He can do the RPO, he can actually run and scramble. And the frustrating thing with the Jaguars is they kind of sleep in the first half. They kind of they come out to the game. They don't really wake up till the second half, but it's too late, So if we do the same thing, you guys are definitely going to have a leg up against us. So I'm just hoping they just are more aggressive with Trevor Lawrence and give the ball to James Robinson, because he's the guy. He's the running back we need to be using.
Yeah, no, hey, he's a great player. Great player. How have the Jags done traveling on the road this year?
I don't think that well. From what I've watched, it's been a little challenging on the road for us. I guess the only real, if you count the London game, that was the one of the wins we had, and the other one was the Buffalo game, which we won at home. But, as I watch the film more, and I look at that game, I kind of think of it as kind of a fluke. The Buffalo game, just because, maybe just Buffalo didn't show up. They didn't show up prepped. Maybe they thought they were just going to get an easy win. But, as I look, we lost to Seattle, with Geno Smith. Right. And that's a tough one to swallow for me and wrap my head around. So, I'm starting to think more and more that the Buffalo game was more of a fluke. But I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Well, I do think that, you give credit where credit's due. Josh Allen had a phenomenal defensive performance that game. I absolutely think like flukes happen for sure in the NFL. The Rams were victim to that last year when we played the Jets. You can't really credit the Jaguars offense that game, because like they scored 9 points, right? Like this wasn't like they like smacked down Buffalo. No, this is they survived Buffalo 2-away. But like the Jags defense, like Buffalo's offense is no joke. I believe they were missing their tight end who's doing well, Dawson Knox, that game, I believe. So I think that might have contributed to it. But yeah, like credit the Jags where credit's due. Like their defense won them that game.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in this game, that's where I go back to that Buffalo game where they just were sending blitz packages, like blitz after blitz after blitz. And like, I'm thinking if I'm Joe Cullen, the defensive coordinator for the Jaguars, that's what I'm doing in this game. I'm just sending pressure, and hopefully we don't blow a coverage or something. But
just to dial that up, the blitz.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I got to give a couple shouts here. Square Table Degenerates Podcast. He's saying the link. We will fix that up. Thank you, my friend, for letting me know. Because he is a really cool YouTube subscriber, and he's probably going to go over to the Jaguar podcast and make sure he subscribes. So we want to make sure we do that.
Awesome. Thanks.
But before we get into predictions, who are some of the key players for the Jaguars that you're looking forward to seeing this Sunday and hoping they step up to get the Jags the W?
Yeah, I think the first one I have like about 4, and I'll try to go through them rapid fire just for the sake of time. But I think first, Jack's cornerback, Shaq Quarterman. He needs to really play a good game. If he starts, he'll be questionable. If it's not him, it'll be Tyson Campbell, who had an interception last week. Who's a rookie corner of ours, but he's going to have to play well against Cooper Kupp, who's obviously, probably one of the best wide receivers in the league right now.
Please allow me to say the best wide receiver in football.
Got to give credit where credit's due. So
yeah, I love telling everybody that because I have the stats to back it up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a key matchup, and if Shaq Quarterman can lock down Cooper Kupp and just minimize him in this game, that will be a key to a potential Jacksonville victory. And then I think the next would be Marvin Jones Jr., our wide receiver, versus Jalen Ramsey. I think that's going to be a key matchup there. Jalen Ramsey, ace corner for the Rams, and Marvin Jones Jr., pretty much our best wide receiver. So that's going to be a real interesting matchup to look out for. And if Marvin Jones Jr. can get open and get separation, I think that could open up some opportunities for us. I think next would be defensive end Josh Allen for the Jaguars versus your left tackle Andrew Whitworth. That's going to be one to look out for. If he can get pressure and get in Matt Stafford's face, I think it could create some problems for the Jaguars. And then the last one for me is really our left tackle Cam Robinson versus Aaron Donald, who is just a force to be reckoned with defensively. I think he's going to get doubled up. I think he's going to get double teamed, but that could I think really create some opportunities for you guys because you're going to have essentially a free guy on the edge coming at Trevor Lawrence. So our running backs and they're going to have to block well in this game, or otherwise Trevor Lawrence is going to be on his back. So,
yeah, and do that. Like I would love, Aaron Donald and like Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, like that crew. I would love them to have a game. I really would love that. I think those are definitely some key contributors. The Rams O-line hasn't had the best performances as of late, so I'd love to see them step up. Whitworth probably coming off his worst game of the season. Otherwise, he's actually been a pretty phenomenal. He turns 40, I believe, on December 12th. So he's 39 years old, playing at a pretty high level.
That's impressive.
Yeah, no, really, yeah. And then I in regards to Ramsey, the thing is, Ramsey is so consistent. Like he is great, but it's frustrating because the rest of our secondary at times has looked pedestrian. And they're not on Ramsey's level, where at times last year, when we had the number one defense, that secondary unit really was playing at the Jalen Ramsey expectation level, which this year that has not been the case at times. So hopefully that secondary is able to put a game together. But I really do think on offense though, you got to come back to our quarterback for the Rams, Matt Stafford. He's had 2 turnovers in the last 3 games, so 6 turnovers total, right? And he's got to have a game. Whether I don't care if he throws for 300 yards, I just don't want him to throw another pick six or a fumble in our own end of the field, right? I just like him to clean up those mistakes a little bit. And I'm hoping for a Rams win, obviously. But I would love if you would do you have any score predictions for this game coming into it?
Yeah, I was looking at the line, and I think the Jaguars are actually 14-point dogs in this game. I'm going to go with a 10-point. I'm going to go with the 10-point Rams win.
Okay.
I think you guys did a good job against the Packers. You still hung in there. Looked like the score was getting away. Maybe in the third quarter, early rather in the first half, and you did close the gap there. So I think this is going to be a tough game if Jacksonville shows up, but if it gets away with us, it could be could get ugly.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and I think I flip flop a little bit. I am confident in the Rams. I know we're in a funk, but I think maybe the Jags game is a way to get out of that funk. I am predicting a 30-14 victory for the Rams. But before we end our time together, I always love to ask my guests, do you have some favorite memories from being a Jags fan at all? Like throughout the years, some games that were like, obviously the Buffalo game this year was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Like, is Jack Del Rio your greatest head coach? Is David Garrard your best quarterback?
Yeah, I would probably go back earlier to the Coughlin days with like Mark Brunell and us, getting that win in Denver, and beating Buffalo too. We actually beat Buffalo that year, which is crazy. That game was wild too. And then, of course, I think more recently the 2017 season where we had that AFC championship run and that game really against the Steelers, which was just so fun to watch. We beat the Steelers at Heinz Field, and that was just incredible. So those have to be the top moments for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I also remember like back to the 2007 season when the Jags went toe-to-toe with the Patriots in the playoffs and almost beat them.
Yeah, that was not. It's kind of weird, that team for us. Like they have like this weird kind of kryptonite. It's that and the Titans, I feel like, for us. So yeah, that was another great game. That one, and of course the kind of tragic loss we had in the 2017 AFC Championship game. Where we have the Miles Jack isn't down kind of saying.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. Yeah.
But
that's part of being a football fan. You have those heartbreak moments where you're like, if it would have been this one thing, my team would have done that. Yeah. No, I have a couple of those as well. That's cool, man. No, and I celebrate your Jaguars fandom. I'm hoping that the Rams get the win. But I really do like Trevor Lawrence moving forward in his career. I think, as Rich Eisen say, he's paying his dues. He's taking his lumps right now. But I think if you can, build the team around him, and if he can continue to get better, the Jags could see that turnaround happening sooner rather than later, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the coaching situation and the GM situation, but we're just, it's like we take it day by day as Jaguars fans. So,
I try to not, I want to keep it about football, but I do have to ask. So, like, when the Urban Meyer video thing happened, because like the 2 times I've heard about the Jags this year, where when they beat the Bills, and before that, the Urban Meyer video thing.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like you kind of didn't want Urban Meyer before that video happened, but like when that video happened, was there a party that's like, just fire him now?
Yeah, I was for it. I mean, and it really wasn't. The video was a disturbing thing, but I think the thing that was even more disturbing, that kind of added insult to injury, for lack of a better word, but it was with him not going back on the flight after they lost against the Bengals, and that's like unheard of as a professional coach, and he's getting paid like $12 million a year. And we could go on hours and hours and hours of conversation about me complaining about Urban Meyer, but those were the two main things. And I think we just have to right the ship earlier rather than later. So hopefully, Shad Khan, he's on the clock. He needs to do something here, in my opinion.
Well, and I remember like shortly after that loss, I remember seeing Rich Eisen did a fantastic piece on he showed a clip of Urban Meyer post-game press conference, or no, it was a pre-game press conference for the following game, and he was asked a question about if Trevor Lawrence is comfortable doing a QB sneak. and he's like, oh, we're still working with them, on that. We haven't had him do that yet. And then he asked him a question about if the Jaguars were about to they were on pace to break like the losing streak record or something like that. And he's like, yeah, like we're a team desperate for a win, right? But then he showed a clip of Trevor Lawrence's that same day press conference, but he came after Urban Meyer, and he didn't, he didn't know what Urban said, but he was asked the same two questions. And I'll never forget, this is the moment where I was like, I like Trevor Lawrence, because he was asked about the QB sneaking thing, and in the most like nonchalant, calm, cool, collective way, he's just like, yeah, I'll QB sneak. We didn't call it.
Yeah.
Like where Urban made it so complex or whatever. He's like, yeah, like I've done that before. Like, and then when he was asked the question about the losing record, he's like, oh, like past the past, we can't control that. Like we're not, we know the wins are coming. Yeah. Like it just you could tell like very media savvy, like professional, and like what you want to hear from your quarterback, right?
Yeah, it's just like night and day between those two. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the younger guy, but he's acting more mature, and then Urban Meyer's the older guy, and he's acting less mature, and it's just like it's a total show. And then like Urban was saying in that press conference that you were talking about, he was like, Trevor's never run the QB sneak before, and then Trevor's like, dude, I've run the QB sneak before. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so it just, it just goes to show you, it doesn't seem like they're on the same page. But I don't fault Trevor Lawrence at all for that. I think this is just it's just concerning with Urban Meyer, and I'll leave it at that for the sake of time.
That's fair. Well, Andrew, it's been a pleasure. I think we'll end this preview here, but thank you so much for coming on and doing this. And everyone watching, make sure that you go check out the Jag Roar podcast. Subscribe to his channel. Turn on bell notifications. He'll get you everything you need to know about the Jags. His watch party. Is it your wife that watches with you?
Yeah, my wife actually watches.
That is so cool. Yeah, I know. I tuned into your last one a little bit, and I was like, "That's awesome. That's cool. You guys do that together."
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely make sure to check him out. And yes, stick around. We'll end the stream here. And yeah, everyone watching, thank you so much. I'm Payo Sam. This is Andrew of the Jaguar podcast, and we love talking football. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
See you guys. Thanks.
Let me get that. JYD coming up with the big sack. Quarterbacks beware, we on the prowl. Game day night, you could hear it in our growl. Intimidation on to keep their hearts racing. Eating other teams live on TV front of the nation. Spectacular defensive scheme.
This episode is available on the Jaguar Podcast YouTube channel. So if you stop by, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like. Also, these episodes are available on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and other major podcast distributors as well. So if you don't mind, please leave me a review and some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, my Twitter handle is @JagwarPodcast. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Andrew signing off. Cheers.